Hello and welcome to Cinema of Blood. My name is John, and today, 50 years of horror movies moves on. We're moving into 1991. I've got 5 horror movies here from the year 1991, and I'm going to say, I don't know if I've said this before, but I think this was the hardest year so far for me to find horror movies. I must have gone through a period of time that I didn't watch as much horror as I normally do, and I'm actually in that period of time right now. My ratio of horror to non-horror is not very good right now. I mean, I catch movies when I'm able to catch them. If I hear about a movie, I'm interested in it. Of course, I buy a ticket and I go see it. In fact, well, today is September 15th, I think, or 16th, I don't remember which. And I just bought an advance ticket for Pearl, and I don't know if this is a horror movie. I think it's more a psychological thriller, but I bought one for Don't Worry, Darling also. And anyway, looking through the list of movies for 1991, a lot of them were sequels. I mean, you had like the Puppet Master 2, Puppet Master 3. There was like, I think there's one called Necromantic 2 or Necromantic 3 or something like that. A bunch of sequels in 1991. And I said that I didn't want to do a lot of remakes and that I didn't want to do sequels too awful much. But I'm having to break that rule with this particular list of movies. So that being said, I'm going to shut the hell up about my movie finding troubles, and we're going to go on into the movies now. So the first one, and this is one some people might not consider it a horror movie. I consider it to be a psychological horror / thriller, and this is Cape Fear. Definitely a remake, all right? This is directed by Martin Scorsese. The earlier screenplay for the original film is by James R. Webb, and the screenplay for this particular rendition of it is by Wesley Strick, all right? And this, of course, it's based on the novel The Executioners by John D. MacDonald, all right? And this stars Nick Nolte, Jessica Lange, and Robert De Niro. So what this movie is about, and Juliette Lewis. Let me not forget Juliette Lewis, because she does such a phenomenal, excellent job in this movie. I loved her in this. Anyway, this is about a lawyer and his wife, and the lawyer, well, let me put it this way. It is about a convicted, trigger warning, a convicted rapist played by Robert De Niro. And De Niro has been in prison for 14 years. He finally gets out of prison, and he sets his sights on his lawyer and the lawyer's family, because he believes that this lawyer withheld evidence that would have gotten him either a mistrial or perhaps even freed. All right. So De Niro goes after the lawyer. He goes after the lawyer's friends, his family, anybody he can go after to get to this lawyer and exact his revenge on him. That is what he does. And De Niro is chilling in this movie. I mean, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe De Niro's performance in this. He's almost like a Terminator, but he's even worse. He's even worse, you know. I mean, there are just so many great scenes in this movie. The scene in the movie theater, the scene between De Niro and this friend of Nick Nolte's. I think she's a co-worker played by Ileana Douglas, and what he does to her in this. Yeah, just like I said, De Niro is chilling in this. Of course, Nolte and Jessica Lange are fantastic, but it is De Niro that pretty much chews up the scenery and steals this movie. No doubt about it. All right, so that is Cape Fear. Okay, all right, moving on. We have got Child's Play 3. Okay, so this one is directed by Jack Bender. It is written by Don Mancini, who created the original Child's Play characters, and it stars Justin Whalen, Perry Reeves, and Jeremy Silver. Excuse me. So, what is Child's Play 3 about? So, you got Andy from the first movie. Little Andy that wanted the good guy doll, and Chucky was born basically because of that. He is now probably about 13, and he is in a military academy. All right. And next thing you know, who shows up at this military academy to try to get revenge on Andy? I got a pattern going here. That's 2 movies I'm talking about right now that are about revenge. Anyway, who shows up at this military academy but Chucky himself? All right. I was going to joke around and say that Chucky gets hired on as the drill instructor and makes Andy's life a living hell that way. But no, that's not what happens. It's just that Chucky somehow gets into the military academy, and death and mayhem and destruction of all kinds ensue until they can all figure out a way to get rid of Chucky once more. All right. I'm going to flat out say this. This is actually one of the lamer entries in the Child's Play series. My favorite Child's Play or Chucky movie. I will be talking about it soon. I will tell you what it is when that happens. But yeah, this one, it suffered from the curse of 3. I mean, how many of the third movies have actually been good in films? I mean, not very many. All right. Anyway, that is Child's Play 3. All right. Okay, next up, we've got The People Under the Stairs, and I know very little about this movie. I saw it when it first came out in 1991. I think I only watched it once. I don't remember a lot about it, so I'm going to try to give you the plot of the movie the best I can. Anyway, this is written and directed by Wes Craven, and I seem to have a pattern for Wes Craven movies on this series also. I can't help it. He's an excellent horror director. I mean, very seldom that he have a misfire. All right. Anyway, written and directed by Wes Craven, and it stars Everett McGill, Wendy Roby, and Brandon Quinton Adams. And it is about this young boy whose name is Fool, and he lives in a ghetto. So him and these 2 other guys, they're robbers. One of them is played by Ving Rhames. You remember Marcellus Wallace from Pulp Fiction? Yeah, that's him. He is in this movie. He plays one of the robbers. Well, they decided to rob the landlords of the apartment building that Fool lives in. Well, the thing about it is these 2 landlords, played by Everett McGill and Wendy Roby, they're brother and sister. And to say that they are weird would be quite an understatement, because they have all these stolen children that they're keeping, and these stolen children are very, you could say feral, you could say weird, you could say strange, violent, anything you want to say. And yeah, and just Everett McGill and Wendy Roby, the 2 of them both, I don't know, if I remember, the way I remember it is the 2 of them just kind of chewed this movie up. I mean, you talk about some serious, I don't know if you want to call it overacting, but just very expressive, very weird acting between the 2 of them. Everett McGill has on this like leather outfit, and Wendy Roby is just weird in general, in this movie. But the thing I remember the most about this movie is they have this dog. I think it's a Rottweiler. And the dog, is trying to attack the kid. He's trying to attack Fool. And he almost gets him, and Fool says, "What are they feeding you?" And next thing you know, the dog hacks up a hand. And it's a hand, I'm not going to spoil anything, but anyway, he hacks up a hand. And that's the main thing I remember from this movie, and also with Everett McGill and Wendy Roby's performances. All right, so there you go. There's that one. Next up, we've got The Pit and the Pendulum. This is a remake. It is directed by Stuart Gordon. It's written by Dennis Paoli. And it, of course, is based on stories by Edgar Allan Poe, mainly The Pit and the Pendulum, with elements of The Cask of Amontillado, in this movie as well. All right, so it stars Lance Henriksen. He plays Torquemada. Stephen Lee and William Norris. And I've got a burp or something coming up. I'm trying to not do that. Anyway, there it's passed. Good. Thank you. Very good. Anyway, yeah, it is based on The Pit and the Pendulum. I think I've seen this version of The Pit and the Pendulum one time. It was good. It was fairly good, but I remember, and I'm going to talk about the original film. I remember the first time I saw the original Pit and the Pendulum with Vincent Price, I was probably 12, and my local library used to show horror films on the weekend or whatever, and they showed them in 8mm. And the first time I saw The Pit and the Pendulum, the original, and they opened the casket up, and the woman's face, she's just in this, like she's been trying to claw out of the casket and died trying to do it. That stuck with me for the longest time. It still sticks with me. It's a horrifying scene. As far as the remake's not bad. It's directed by Stuart Gordon, who of course directed Reanimator and Bride of Reanimator and From Beyond. So he's very respectful of Edgar Allan Poe's story. And also it stars Jeffrey Combs, who he himself has played Edgar Allan Poe many a time in plays and theater. So yeah, not a bad little movie. All right. So, moving on to our last one, and this last one is one that I consider an absolute masterpiece of psychological horror, or of horror in general, and that is The Silence of the Lambs. All right, so this is based on the novel by Thomas Harris. It is directed by Jonathan Demme, and the screenplay is by Ted Talley. It stars Jodie Foster, Scott Glenn, and of course, Sir Anthony Hopkins. All right, so what is The Silence of the Lambs about? In case you have been living under a rock these past, I'm sorry, don't even ask me to do the math on that. It is about a FBI agent. She is a fledgling agent. She is a rookie agent played by Jodie Foster, and she gets thrust into this case that concerns a serial killer, Buffalo Bill, or James Gum, as you'll find out his name, played by Ted Levine and played exquisitely well. Anyway, Buffalo Bill, he is a serial killer and he skins his victims, and they are the FBI is at its wit's end as to how to catch this killer. All right, so what they want her to do is they want her to go and they want her to talk with none other than Dr. Hannibal Lecter, or Hannibal the Cannibal, all right, to see if he can give them some kind of insight into what makes Buffalo Bill tick, so they can find out just who he is. All right. Well, the thing about Dr. Lecter is a legitimate doctor. He's a psychiatrist. He is a cannibal. That's why he's in jail, why he's in prison, or not in prison, but in a mental institution. And it becomes the relationship between the Dr. Lecter, and Clarice Starling, of course, Jodie Foster's character, it's a little bit of cat and mouse. It's just a little hint. I don't know. I'm not going to say a hint. It's not romance. It's not romance. Maybe on the doctor's part, maybe in his eyes, but not in hers. It's, but there is an uneasy relationship between the two of these. There's a mutual, I think, respect between the two of them. And if I'm going too far into that, just let me know. But that's what I believe. This movie, I have watched this movie so many times. I love this movie. I can watch it and finish it and then start it over again. That is how much I absolutely love The Silence of the Lambs. And the fact that it won all the major Academy Awards. It is one of the few films that absolutely deserved every award that it won. If you've never seen The Silence of the Lambs, I don't know what you're waiting for. Just please put it on, find it on streaming, whatever you have to do, but watch it because it's fantastic. All right. So there you go. And that is it. That is 5 movies from the year 1991. Hopefully when 1992 rolls around, I won't have as much trouble finding movies for this series. Until then, take care and stay scared. Bye-bye.